Not quite famous, not quite famous, not quite famous.
We're almost there.
Not quite famous,
We're almost there.
not quite famous.
But we're not quite famous.
Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of the NQF Podcast. This was a lot of fun. This episode didn't record. I got to sit down and talk with a very good friend of mine, amazingly talented musician, composer, vocalist, arranger, all-around musical poobah, very good friend of mine, Rob Dehlinger. As you guys recognize that name, it's probably because you hear it every week on this show. Rob Dehlinger wrote and arranged the music that we have on the podcast. He's amazingly talented, super great guy. I've known him for about 15 years. He's one of the reasons I love music the way I do. Immensely talented. He's got a tremendous body of work. He's just gigging, performing all the time, and also just sitting in his home studio, recording, arranging, and just creating amazing music. That is what he does. We chat with him a lot. He, like me, likes to go on nerdy tangents a lot, so it was a very cathartic conversation. We kind of would just go on these long trains about nerdy stuff all the time. Rob has, really interestingly, he has this unofficial title he's earned. We talk about it a little bit on the podcast. He is called the John Williams of podcasting. He has done music for tons of nerd culture podcasts. He's getting really well known in that community for it. It's pretty amazing. I'll put up some samples. He's also got a new album coming out called Songs for My Friends Volume 1. I've got a sample of that you guys will hear at the end of the interview. It's pretty great. But yeah, it's awesome. I hope you guys enjoy listening to me and him talk. It was really great being able to talk to each other the way we did. I'm glad I sat down to record this when I did because, oh man, right after with all this rain and everything, I got hit with this awful cold. I'm still getting over it. That's probably why I sound like crap if you guys are wondering, wow, what's wrong with his voice? I sound awful in this interview right now, during this intro, because I got hit with this really awful cold for the last 4 days. My wife has declared it the man flu, because she says that if she was sick with this little cold I have, that it wouldn't bother her as much. And men are babies. That's my wife's decision on it, so she's declared it the man flu. It's annoying and rough, and I had no voice for most of this weekend. I'm just starting to feel better. It's part of why this episode is coming out a little later than normal, because I was sick all weekend and couldn't work on it and couldn't record these intros. And I've just been home and quarantined in the house, sleeping as much as I can, but we have the newborn, so that's not really as effective as you think it would be. And just trying to get some rest. I'm just a germ factory. I've been passing it on to everybody. So now my wife has man flu, which entertains me a little bit. And my 4-year-old has man flu. So we're just a household of sick people. It is an infirmary in here. Another thing that I don't like about all this rain, I'm glad we're getting the rain. I know we need it in California. Hooray, rain. But anybody who knows me personally knows that I don't like spiders. Don't like them. Don't like them at all. Hate them. Absolutely hate them. Spiders are evil, 8-legged abominations to nature. I can't deal with them. I'm terrified of them. And as a result of the rain, spiders are everywhere in my house right now. Everywhere I turn is some 8-legged freak ready to attack me, and I can't do it. I can't deal with spiders. I don't like them at all. I think I watched Arachnophobia too many times as a kid. I don't know if that messed me up or what, but I can't deal with it. I can't deal with spiders. And I had a close encounter the other day. That is the only way to describe it. A close encounter of the horrifying kind. And I was sitting in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, just relaxing, having my man moment. And I'm looking, there's a mirror directly in front of me. So I make eye contact with myself when I'm in there, which is always odd. But I'm sitting in there, and then I look in the mirror, and I see a spider hanging in midair. And this is a big spider. This is at least 2 inches. Gigantic spider. Just hanging there, and I see it in the reflection of the mirror. I'm like, huh, is that hanging in front of the mirror? No, it's in the reflection which means, oh god, it's hanging above my head. So I jump up and I freak out and I see the spider dangling. It was like 6 inches away from my head. This gigantic spider sliding down from the ceiling. Clearly it wanted to kill me. That is the only justifiable thing I can think of. That is the only thing that'll explain that kind of behavior from an insect like that. It wanted to kill me and pull me back into its web in the ceiling and cocoon me like the scientist at the end of Arachnophobia. Oh my god. I don't like spiders. So I end up grabbing a magazine and I swat this thing in midair like a reverse T-ball, and I just hit it and it hits the wall and then falls to the ground, and then it's game on because it doesn't have the high ground anymore. So I'm just pumping myself up like I'm humming, like Flash by Queen, and just pumping myself up because I'm like, I'm gonna take care of the spider. You're in my home. And I just grab this can of hairspray and I sprayed the hairspray to stun it. I don't even know if that was a thing, but that's what I did. And then finally I just went it crawled up, and ended up falling in my sink. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That was your mistake. So I grabbed this little cigar torch lighter I had in my pocket. I pick it up and I grab the hairspray and I literally Jeff Daniels this spider in the sink and I just torch it. Just torch this 2-inch gigantic hairy ball of disgusting horror. Torch it and it just done, taken care of. Greg won, spider nothing. That is man conquering nature is what that is. And here's the thing. Any of you listening that are just like, oh, Greg is a monster. Why would he do that to a spider? I would like to refer you to Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. That would be the second one. Ace Ventura loves animals more than anyone else on Earth has ever loved animals. And even he had issues with bats. That is me. I love animals. I'm like freaking Dr. Dolittle over here. Love the animals. I've had lots of weird pets over the years. I cannot deal with spiders. I don't know why. I think it's an evolutionary thing, because I think guys my size, 100,000 years ago, would have been prey to spiders, that giant spiders that would have been our overlords if evolution hadn't gone a different way. I know that I read all these horrifying statistics about spiders all the time because I'm terrified of them, so of course I have to know everything about them. That's because my weird, crazy psychology. So I read all these things written by entomologists. Did you know if a spider was the size of a small dog, like a dachshund, we might not be the dominant species on this planet? How crazy is that? That's insane. That is absolutely insane that if a spider was that big, it would be big enough to feed on us. That's crazy. There's this place, this reptile store I go to all the time because I have a turtle. I have a large freshwater turtle that I love. I've had it forever. And I have to go to this reptile store to get stuff for her every now and then. And the guy also breeds gigantic bird-eating tarantulas. They are called Goliath tarantulas. Goliath is a word you might have learned in Sunday school, because Goliath was the name of a giant. And that is a name that is given to a type of spider, if that paints a picture for you guys. It's horrible and disgusting. It's gigantic. It's like looking at a catcher's mitt with legs coming out of it. That's how big these spiders are. They look like facehugger aliens. And it's an entire corner of that store that I just refuse to go into. I don't like spiders. I never have. Spiders, I'm very positive a spider will be the death of me at some point. My friends tried to get me over my fear of spiders when I was in college. I was 20 years old. They took me to this pet store that I used to go to. We had a mutual friend that worked at, and they had tarantulas there. They had red-knee tarantulas, little Mexican red-knee tarantulas, huge, gigantic, terrifying red-knee tarantulas. And they took one out of the cage, and they made me hold it. And it was placed in my hand, and I held this tarantula, and then everybody said the same thing afterwards. Wow, Greg, I've never seen someone actually faint before. Yes, I was 20 years old, 1920, and my eyes just rolled into the back of my head, and I fainted like a Disney princess getting attacked by Jafar. Just eyes rolled into my head and I just fell to the floor. Still holding this tarantula. I imagine there's a picture of this tarantula. Somebody had to have taken it, maybe on the security footage or something, of this tarantula being so just disappointed in me and just crawling across my body as I lay there unconscious, thinking about the horrible friends that I have. I don't like spiders. Also, on a much more pleasant note, I suppose, this Friday, Reno, Nevada, I will be inside you, making sweet, sweet comedy love. Sweet, sweet comedy love. You're going to take me all in there and you're going to love it. Change of plans, I will not be at the Knitting Factory. We had some unexpected complications, had to change the venue. So if you guys, all of you guys coming out to see me in Reno, can come see me at the Pioneer Underground Comedy Club, Reno Tahoe Comedy produces. It's at 100 South Virginia Street, so still in downtown Reno, right by the Strip. It's going to be an amazing show. Please come check it out. That's going to be an 8:30 show. Pioneer Underground, Reno, Nevada, 8:30 p.m. Friday, December 12th. Please come out. It's going to be an amazing show. I'm excited. I love me some Reno, Nevada. I do. I perform there all the time, and there's a reason for it, because the audiences there are awesome. I love playing poker, and I just love the whole casino culture. I really do. It's very me. But please come out this Friday night. That is this Friday night. If you're listening to this today on Monday, then it is this Friday night, December 12th. Come get your holiday comedy on and see me. It'll be amazing. It'll be a lot of fun. Pioneer Underground Comedy Club, Reno Tahoe Comedy, December 12th. I will see you guys there. It's like, I think the only thing I still have is like the first Circadians album. I think that's the only thing I have still, like, readily available. I think you gave me like a rough cut of like the second one you guys were gonna do,
which we never ever released.
That's tragic because
I know.
I love all the quirkiness.
I know. Well, it kind of got held up by the other guy in the band who kind of just moving on. And then I was kind of in charge of it, but then, so I still have the files and, I'll probably just randomly put it up, I wanted to like go back and like remaster it or whatever, but whatever. It sounds good.
I look forward to that special thanks. This is for Greg Asdorian, who would never shut up about this for the last 15 years.
A little special track at the beginning.
Hi, Rob. How are you doing, man?
Hello.
We've been talking for the last like 40 minutes, but it's fine. We just started recording now. We're sitting here with Rob Dehlinger, composer, musician, all-around musical grand poobah, as far as I'm concerned. I've known you for, 15 years now?
Well, I guess figure out what year you graduated high school.
Yeah, because...
add a few.
Yeah, the way me and Rob met is he was my high school band teacher. And unlike most talented musicians who become musical teachers, he moved on and became a musician professionally and, didn't get sucked into the world of teaching. Like most, musicians, writers, whatever, who end up teaching... They end up teaching for the rest of their life, and Rob actually moved on and actually became, someone to be reckoned with musically, I guess. I'm talking about you like you're a Sith Lord or something. But
yeah, well, yes. With a new lightsaber with a special hilt or whatever you call it.
I was so entertained. I want to see how that works. We were talking about the new Star Wars trailer that just came out on Black Friday, and I've watched it maybe 40 times. To the point where my wife is suspect about what I'm doing, staring at the internet all the time. But
I swear it's just Star Wars.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I have to describe this to the listeners because we're sitting here in your office,
world headquarters of Dehlinger Production Studios, state of the art.
Well, it's perfect because you've got there's two keyboards I can see, two musical keyboards. You've got your guitar set up, and then all the pictures is the best part. You've got. It's this weird collection of this. It almost feels like a pedophile's subconscious because there's Michael Jackson and there's the Walt Disney stuff It's so there's the children's crayon drawings on the wall. It's very interesting. It's a very peculiar collection, but it's like, knowing you for as long as I have, it makes perfect sense. Because you're the person who made me appreciate Michael Jackson when I was in high school.
Thank goodness.
I totally, yeah.
Well, of course, I also have the Louis Armstrong and the Miles Davis. We won't talk about the Axl Rose back there.
I didn't even see that.
That's from when I was a teenager, and I found it in my dad's house, and I said, I cannot throw this away. It's like a full-length, silkscreen, life-size. Yeah. That is a pretty epic testament to Guns N' Roses to my
right
past. There. Yeah.
It is, and I love about this because all of my nerdy personal stuff is in storage now. My wife wants no part of any of this, and it's so funny. I'm waiting for us to find a new house, and I'm gonna have my own little 4 foot by 4 foot room to put all my crap in. And
yeah, we had storage, and I had a lot of old Star Wars stuff. Sadly, at one point, I finally sold a lot of my broken down stuff at a garage sale because I was like, well, who's going to want this? It's part of an AT-AT's head and the foam from the Dagobah set. But people were buying it, and I figured, you know what, they probably put it together with their pieces. So I did save some, and then when I had kids, I gave them that, and they continue to break it more. And,
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and then I have a few things I bought during the college years where I was like, these might be worth money. Foolishly, because everyone was thinking the same thing, and so I have them in packages, and so now I'm just surprise, Merry Christmas to my kid, and he's like, oh wow, it's an X-Wing fighter from episode 6, cool, and I'm like, yeah, I bought it in 1999 or whatever, or 2003.
Oh, it's funny. I've been slowly selling off some of my geek stuff because I was always more of a comic book guy, so my stuff is all. I have all the comic book collectibles. I've got all the back issues that are worth a lot now. And so, I'm slowly liquidating them in ways. And, I sold off a bunch of comics when the last, when Avengers came out, because I had a lot of the old school Golden Age Avengers stuff.
People don't understand the personal growth people like us have gone through. When we actually sell, one of our old geeky things, our wives are like, why don't you just sell that? Or, And it's when you realize what personal growth, it's a major victory. Yeah. You just casually mentioned that you sold off your Avengers comics. I'm I know what you went through.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I know. I sold the. One of the things I have not sold yet that is the gems of my collection is I have the issue where the Avengers find Captain America in the block of ice, and I just refuse to get rid of it. I'm gonna hold on to that.
Now, when was that published?
That was in 69, I think. So
okay, I was gonna
yelling
say
at their.
Yeah, right, but it's the original.
It's the original.
Yours a reprint or? Oh no, it's
no, it was original printing.
Wow.
I found it. I had a friend of mine whose father just was getting rid of all his comics. He just didn't care about them anymore. He had tons of back issues, and my friend could give a shit. Didn't care about comics at all. And I'm like, I will give these a good home. It was just the beginning of my nerdiness. And it just tipped me in the net of just being a full-on nerd for the rest of my life.
Well, that's a good way to start it, man.
Yeah, my bedroom at my parents' old house when we were living in Pittsburgh looked like the Congressional Library of Virginity. It was it's the only way to describe it. It was just action figure boxes and just framed comic books all over the wall and stuff that. Was that guy. I was that kind of collector.
Yeah.
I had all the really crazy issues framed and mounted. And the amount of money I wasted on just presenting my nerdiness. Most people closeted it up, but I was just
Now, did you dress up? Because this was before there was the term cosplay, so you were really weird if you dressed up.
Yeah, no, I never did the costume.
Yeah,
although I went all
either.
out on Halloween. That was my night. I prepared. I planned my costume for 6 months before Halloween to the day. I figured out how I do it. Because here's the thing: is that I'm a big dude. Anyone who knows my stand-up, knows my comedy, knows that about me. And I was a big awkward kid in high school, and I'm a big awkward adult now. Funny how that through line goes. But I'm like, all right, how am I going to make the? Because here's the thing: is that all my nerdiness was about a world of big pecs, big guns,
like how am I going to make my awkward, Thanksgiving turkey body mass index going to work in this costume? So, I'd always find clever ways. Like, it was, all right, I'm going to be the Hulk this year. Dr. Octopus wears a trench coat. We're going to be Dr. Octopus. Like, it's... there was so much thought and planning that went into it, because that was something I learned early on.
Yeah.
Because I figured that out in high school, and I still carry it to now when I'm on stage, is that, like, big dudes, if you dress right, it looks good. Just make sure you dress right. Any of you awkward, fat high schoolers out there, if you're hearing this, learn how to get something tailored. I cannot stress that enough. Learn how to get something tailored. See, you because I've seen, I used to always have, like, pictures of you and you were in the band at Pittsburgh, like, in high school and stuff like that. You've always been a pretty svelte guy.
I started puffing up slightly, as most male men do, in my 20s and early 30s. But I actually kind of retained it, I kind of go back and forth in a 10-pound ratio over the years, which I'm actually really proud of, because most American males of my age are not able to do that. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, I'd like to have a six-pack, and, I have my baby cheeks always,
That is true. You have aged remarkably well, I will give you that. Because I think everybody thought you were part of our... Even when you were a teacher in high school, I think everybody thought you were, like, a senior.
I know, some girl came up to me, it was like my first year teaching there. I think I was 25 or something in the hallway, and she goes, "You a teacher? I thought you was a sophomore." That's the quote.
I love that. That is the most Pittsburgh thing I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody's speaking manner, but that's what it sounded like exactly.
Well, it's funny. I want to paint the whole picture, because so we're your place. We're in Pittsburgh, California, which is where both of us spent a lot of time. We both went to high school out here, and you went to high school at Pittsburgh High, left, and then came back as the band director. It almost...
Don't say it like that. I'm just kidding.
Well, it sounds like a Western. Like, you left and then you came back to clean up the town.
Well, it's a pattern I have in my life. Right now I've been teaching at the college here, so it goes back and forth. But, I remember being in high school, and I loved the band. Thank God for the band, because the rest of my classes, besides maybe English or whatever, I could not force myself to concentrate enough to do anything. But in band, that was it. I loved it. But I remember there were kids who would say, someday I'm going to come back and I'm going to teach this band. Like, with a gleam in their eye and I'd be like, why? I'd be thinking, like, shoot higher, dude, or whatever. Like, but then I found myself back here. I moved back out here after going to school in Boston at New England Conservatory, and I majored in music. I didn't major in education. Yeah. Somebody literally knocked on the door. I had just moved back and said, the band director at Pittsburgh High quit. You should go, and I said, well, I don't have a teaching credential. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I said, I don't have a teaching credential. I don't, and they said, well, they're hiring on emergency. And so I just figured, well, I don't have a job yet. I'll go and it'll be good practice to interview. And then they hired me. And then 6 years later, I was done with my tenure there. I decided to quit. But I learned a lot. And, the kids were good. That was fine. And it just wasn't what I was meant to do any longer at that point, So.
Fair enough. For what it's worth, I can say without any hesitation, you were probably one of the best teachers I ever had.
Thank you.
That's one of the reasons why I think our friendship endures, is that, like, you have this really unique respect for your students, especially the ones who you could tell... I'm saying that like I'm anything special.
Yeah. Especially the ones who are magically awesome.
Yeah. But it's just, you clearly went out of your way to let everyone know that you gave a shit, which is a very unique thing, especially at Pittsburgh High School.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh...
I think that's because that's how I try to treat everyone, and it just carries over into students, I don't view them as lower subjects or anything like that,
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I'm that kid now. I realize that I have at least 4 or 5 good friends of mine that were former teachers or professors of mine, and it's really odd to me. Like, because I explained that to my wife. Like, another former teacher in Pittsburgh High School, Rick Pyle, who's going to be on there to talk about one of his books. He's a hilarious individual, really good friend of mine. He's one of the reasons I'm a writer and a comedian and all that. And me and him are really close friends now. And I explained that to my wife, like how our friendship started and things like that.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you were one of them." I'm like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "Oh, you're one of those kids who had more fun talking to the teachers." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, it's the same reason why I like, my wife is a couple years older than me. The same reason I married a woman a little older than me, because people my age are morons." Well, it's just the way I always had that mentality, and I realized that probably didn't help how awkward my high school years were. Is that I was that weird kid who had like friends that were always older than him and stuff like that.
Well, you didn't come off that way to me. You would occasionally stop by the office and we'd joke and stuff, but I don't think they were like, "Oh, that's Greg again with Mr. D. He's the teacher's pet or whatever." Look away.
I think people thought I was a teacher's pet.
The office door is rocking.
Oh. You know what's funny? All right,
he got an A. He wasn't even here.
This is a conversation that me and Pyle had as adults, like a couple years after I graduated high school. Is that like because when I was a senior, I was like 17, I think. There was this writing workshop in San Francisco that I wanted to do. So he actually, Rick Pyle, being the amazing guy that he is, would drive me out to the Mission in San Francisco, this place in Valencia, for this writing workshop with Michael Chabon. It was one of the profound moments of my life as a creative person, and I realized that, like, wow, nobody ever asked any questions about the fact that I was just absconding with this 17-year-old boy to the Mission in San Francisco every week for like 6 weeks. Yeah, nobody, that didn't raise a red flag for anybody.
It was the city.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that didn't raise any red flags with anybody.
Yeah, he probably would have, if he would have asked what anyone thought, you would have just had one guy stand up and you would have heard the slow clap.
That is something that's on my bucket list, is to initiate a slow clap in a situation, and I haven't yet. And I think I've tried like twice and it didn't work. I think it was one time was during jury duty, just because I thought it was like, this is going to be the moment, and like after some lawyer's opening statement, and I just tried to start the slow clap, and just nothing, just silence and angry looks from everybody, and just like sunk into my chair.
Speaking of jury duty, thank God all my life I have gotten out of jury duty. I mean, I want to do my duty. No offense to you patriotic folks out there. I would do it, and if I did it, I would give it 110%. But it's never convenient, is it?
No, it's not. I've only been forced to do it once. I've been able to get out of it the other times. And what's funny is that, because my wife is an attorney, so like I have a very unique perspective on how shitty lawyers can be. My wife actually has a moral compass to her. But every horrible thing you've ever heard about lawyers, it's true. Every one of her colleagues, every other lawyer I've had to deal with, like in the like periphery of like my life now because of my wife, they're just terrible human beings. Like they're just awful. Like I don't even believe in hell anymore. There's a room in hell for lawyers. Like I know that for a fact. Like it's like they. Like there's a nerdy reference here. All right, there's a Batman villain named Mr. Zsasz. Every time he kills somebody, he puts a little notch in his skin with a knife, and like there are lawyers who do that psychologically with like every family they destroy and every marriage. It's like it's so awful. Like it's like no moral compass for these guys at all. It's like that. This is why I believe in that we should be in a world where people put on a mask and like hurt other people that do bad things, because the legal system's broken. That's what I've totally. We're
avoiding going off into a long Batman discussion because I don't know that much about Batman. No, don't throw the mic down now. Yeah, no, I have nothing against Batman.
Nothing against Batman, no.
Oh, my good friend Brandon Doomlau, who is an artist, he did the album cover for my upcoming album. He is the biggest Batman fan ever. Yeah. Like, he would get pissed if I tried to put down Batman. So, Brandon, if you're listening...
on the record.
So, Brandon, if you're listening, no, I like Batman. He's fine. I just don't know that much about him, you know. I'm a Star Wars, Middle-earth kind of guy.
That's so brave of you to like Batman. To admit that.
Yeah.
So brave.
Yeah. Although my son is big on Marvel, and he's going through a phase right now where he says, Marvel is awesome, DC sucks. So... Yeah.
you know what, it's funny, it's like I was never one of those guys, because I grew up with like friends that were really polarized like that, and I loved it all. I just like embraced it all. Like,
yeah.
You know, like
I'm sure he will be eventually.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that, yeah. You know, that's the thing. From 10 to 16, he's going to have the most set opinions you'll ever have in his life. Yeah. And it's going to be about the most superficial things you'll ever encounter in his life. It's never going to be about insurance companies or, you know, like, about, like, how the healthcare system in America works. No, but fuck DC, I'm a Marvel guy. Like, that's gonna be his, like, mentality about everything.
Yeah, well, he also says, Star Trek is lame. He goes, and I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree, because I'm a Star Wars guy, but he just cracks me up, because I said, well, why? And I'm waiting for it, and he says, well, for one, their aliens are just like regular people with pointy ears.
That's solid. You know what? That is the
So
best.
say what you want about Jar Jar, but at least they put some creativity into the design.
That is true. That's like they had a stuffed elephant playing keyboards. All right, they went out there. That's what happens when you have Jim Henson create all your characters.
Yeah. So, well, he didn't do all of them.
Well, not all of them, but all the
Yeah. Well, a lot of those designs, not those ones we just mentioned, but some of them were based on, like, Ralph McQuarrie, who was an artist, like Yoda. Only I think his design for Yoda was like a standing tall, and then they made him short. Anyway, but yeah, they had the best. So I hope this new Star Wars movie, and I believe 100% it will, carries on the tradition of the creativity and the design and all the process of.
I like J.J. Abrams. He hasn't done anything I didn't like so far.
I like J.J. Abrams too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Star Wars was always above the director in a way. It was more about the overall vision of George Lucas, which I think they have.
Yeah.
Because George didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. People keep forgetting that. They're like, now let's see what it's like. It's like, well, he didn't direct them, but he still was pulling the strings. Now he's not pulling the strings,
Yeah, well, he still has that consultant position.
Yeah,
right?
I hope, because I'm not a George hater. In fact, I have a whole track that features George Lucas.
Okay.
But I haven't really promoted it much because I don't know what the legalities are. But it's on iTunes.
I'm gonna insert a ding into every time we go into a tangent about Star Wars.
Yeah.
But my whole thing about George, I'm not a George Lucas hater either, because he wrote my childhood essentially.
Right.
And in between him and Stan Lee, my entire imagination is created.
Yeah, those two guys are two of the greatest. I think they're the two of the most important artists of our time.
Yeah, I think Forbes just listed Stan, it was a year and a half ago. They listed Stan Lee as one of the most influential creators ever, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
He defined what pop culture is now.
Yeah.
And but look, George Lucas, I think, is a really great visionary, and I think that he just shouldn't be the one to sit down at the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
I think he can write the blueprint, but he shouldn't design the interior.
On the other hand, though, other projects he's done where he's been not as involved, where he's been the executive producer, or this upcoming animated feature where he wrote the story. I forget what it's called, but they have a preview for it, and it says "From the Mind of George Lucas." Just based on what I've seen, may not be Star Wars quality.
Fair enough.
So I'm looking at some of the other things he's done. Howard the Duck, Willow people love, but it's no Star Wars,
Yeah, that is true.
Whereas Star Wars was his baby, and in my opinion, all 6 of them are better than most movies that come out, even the lamest. In my opinion, Episode 1 is the weakest.
Yes.
A lot of people say Episode 2 lately, but
it's like C-SPAN in space, kind of. It's that's what Episode 1 was.
There's a lot of reasons you could say that, yeah, but I still think that Episode 1, first of all, you say how lame you think it is compared to the original. If it came out in 1977 as is, it would be even more of a groundbreaking than it because of the effects, right?
Yeah.
Second of all, it actually is a better movie than a lot of movies that come out every year. But people act like it's the worst movie in the world.
Oh, no. Here's the thing is that I still will watch it.
Yeah.
If I start watching any of them, I still have to watch them all the way through. Mm-hmm. I think this is a great story from high school, is that you and half the seniors in the Pittsburgh High School band class absconded to go watch Episode 3 together.
Yeah, was that 2 or 3? I
that was
remember.
3. Because 2 I would have been too young to do that. And
that was the one I stayed spoiler free for.
Was that the one?
I couldn't believe it. Episode 1, I knew every little tiny detail of before it came out.
Yeah.
Episode 2, same thing. I think there was only one section where I was like, I didn't know that line.
Yeah.
Episode 3, I was like, okay, this is my last chance. Thought it was going to be the last one ever.
Yeah.
Even though I secretly hoped they'd make more. I somehow made myself for years not. I think you might have remembered that. You were trying to look on the internet, and I said, no. And so I went in there.
Because me and you would have our little geek fests in your office all the time throughout high school. And that was one, I'd always try, every time I found out something, you're like, no, shut up, just leave, just get out of the room.
So I've heard people like Mark Hamill, who I love. Say things about, why have the movie spoiler? We're trying to, make... And I agree with that in principle, but I look back, episode 1 and 2, I was totally spoiled. Episode 3, I was totally not. They were all 3 awesome experiences for different reasons, and I can't say that it was necessarily better because I didn't get to have all that fun of all those years of finding the treasure online.
And for episode 1, that was before the internet was what it is now, as far as
I was printing out little things with no pictures that said rumors, know.
It's pretty amazing. There's no way to be spoiler free for anything anymore.
Yeah, unless you just don't.
Yeah, you have to completely just be off the grid for that stuff. I think once a week I tag you in some thing I find out of the internet.
I scour it every day. I pretty much knew everything that was going to be in that trailer. Yeah.
What's funny is I love that I ended up sending you that video. Is that there's this great filmmaking production team on YouTube that just do these really great hypothetical fights of science fiction characters, and they did a really great Batman versus Darth Vader one.
Oh, cool!
And it was. Did you watch it?
No, I saw Superman versus Hulk or something.
Okay, they do a really amazing Batman versus Darth Vader one, and for what the production quality was amazing, but it's just I'm like, wow, me and Rob had this exact conversation. I think 10, 12 years ago, and. I think it got heated too. It was an angry conversation. The conversation that results in the teacher yelling at a student, kind of a heated conversation. And it's just funny because this is what happens when all these guys were raised by George Lucas's creations, and they're all the artists now. So what are they doing? They're creating the art that they wanted to see as kids. Yeah. When your imagination is as rich as ours were because of the things we loved when we were younger, there's this whole world now. We're talking about all the Marvel Cinema stuff, the Avengers movies, things like that. Yeah. And none of that would exist without the fact that we had all these great things that we were shown and loved as kids. Yeah. And now that we're the generation that's creating art, funny how that's all this pop culture art now is all revolving around that. There's this really great renaissance of nerdiness.
Plus, with all the technology now, I mean, my 10-year-old son has an iPhone with iMovie on it, and he's going around all day long, and he's going, wait, I need a new location, in his words, Can we go to our friend's house? I'm like, no. He goes, wait, the garage. So we go in the garage, and he's like, I need you to stand here and throw this, or whatever. He goes, okay, I'm done. And he's doing it, and I told him, it may look rough or whatever, but you're learning right now. Yeah. He's learning editing, basically.
Yeah, I know. We live in a world where everybody, a 10-year-old has an HD video camera at all times.
If I remember when the VHS handheld recorders came out, you were probably not born yet or a baby or whatever. Yeah. But they were, our friends had them. We never had one. And I was so jealous because they could walk around and film stuff and then watch it on TV.
Yeah, and when I first started, because I studied film in college too, and when I was doing that, mini DV was the big medium. And even just the fact that we get on our computer was fucking amazing. Yeah. But still, we were dealing with these clunky tapes. And now my iPhone 5 is tiny and shoots in 1080p. Yeah. And, has, 64 gigs of memory just built into it. Yeah. It's insane. There are all these, cell phone video film festivals now and stuff like that.
And, of course, the people in the big studios are always going to be one step ahead with whatever they have. But that gap is way smaller than it used to be. Yeah. Which brings me to, this room here. I mean, I'm not pumping out, the exact same quality stuff that might be on a major label, but it's not that far away considering I'm sitting in this little room here with an old Mac Mini, one microphone. Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to just the ingenuity of the people now that have the technology.
Yeah, know? I mean, it's just like what we're doing now, the podcasting thing. There's this renaissance of DIY. Yeah. And the technology is so easily available that the home recording studio is not something that takes thousands upon thousands of dollars anymore. Right. You can realistically do it in a way and still create good stuff.
And it's not as laughable in the past. It used to be home studio. Now, it's almost like the only reason
you're paying for studio time?
Right, really? Exactly. The only reason you would want to is if it has a particular room you like or a particular engineer, or maybe they have more expensive mics and preamps or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it would have to be worth it, you know.
This coming from someone who got to record at Skywalker Sound.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
I did that.
Yeah, so what was that? Was that with the punk rock orchestra?
Yeah, I did an album with them that never came out. That's the story of my life. That's why this album I'm doing now, Songs for My Friends, is going to come out in the next couple weeks.
Except Great Historian. Songs for My Friends, except Great Historian.
Well, I'm doing 2 volumes because I recorded 52 songs, and it was just too much. So even half of it is 26 songs. I mean, that's bigger than most people's double albums.
Yeah, how long is each song?
Well, some are really short, like a minute and a half, but most of them are around 2-3 minutes. Some are 4 minutes, but most are around 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
And you can. I'll give you some. Maybe you can play one. Insert here.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was. I did the album. I started in March of 2012, and from March 2012 to March 2013, I wrote and recorded 1 new song a week. Can't believe I did it. There was like 1 week where my computer broke or something, and then I made it up the next week or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, by the time I was done, I didn't really want to think about it anymore, and I didn't really plan on necessarily releasing it. It was just an exercise, and I called it Songwriting Challenge, and I went on Facebook, and I asked who wants a song, and people had to send me 10 words about themselves, and I turned it into a song. And I thought, well, if I get really burnt, I could just do a 10-second jingle. I think I said song or jingle. Well, I wound up doing mostly full songs every week. So they sounded pretty good, you know. And now I finally started mixing and mastering them myself, and it's coming out like in the next couple weeks. So Songs for My Friends, Volume 1. Nice. Look it up on iTunes, Amazon. But anyway, yeah, I did record at Skywalker Ranch with that one group, and while I was there, I snooped around like crazy. It was awesome. I took pictures, but back then we didn't have the whole, like, when you got a new phone. I don't remember what happened to those pictures. I don't know.
That's rough.
Hopefully they're saved on a hard drive somewhere, buried, and it'll be found. But,
so, all right, so what's the timeline career-wise? Like, you were in Boston for school, and again, one more time, where
yeah, well, what a lot of people didn't realize too when I was teaching, and they said, "Oh, he quit to go become a professional musician." But it's like what they don't realize is I was a professional musician pretty much my whole life, and still am, and so I just went back to doing that full time, you know. But my progression was I started doing gigs, you know, as a young kid, and then I went to the local community college here where I'm now, see the pattern, teaching again. Then I went to New England Conservatory in Boston, and I learned so much there about music, so I decided to stay and get my master's there. Then
what was your focus?
Jazz performance.
Okay.
Jazz performance. But you get a lot of overall, I had to learn solfege, which is where you sight sing, and I had to take all the classical harmony, my performance groups were all jazz, and it was intense. I mean, when I first got there, there were people that were from the Midwest or the East Coast that were, a couple years younger than me that really had their stuff together with jazz. Whereas coming from the West Coast, it's more of a big band oriented musical education scenario. So I was these guys were playing all this bebop stuff, and I'm going, whoa, you know. So my first year or two there, I felt like I was really getting my butt kicked, you know. But I could play high notes pretty good, so I wound up playing lead in the big bands. But then by the time I left there, I had a lot together with the improv, and then I was just really growing. And then now I consider myself more of an improv guy, but I branched out from jazz. I always did pop and stuff too, you know, and I did classical too when I was young. So then I got my master's. I moved back out here, and like I explained earlier, just fell into this teaching job, you know. So for the first few years, I wasn't gigging that much, because when I was in Boston and everything, I was gigging wedding bands, whatever. Yeah. So as I was really missing performing, I was still performing occasionally, and I did little recording projects and stuff, but the teaching job was all consuming, and that's great if that's what you want to do, but it was really driving me crazy because I wasn't able to do my music. So I started gigging more my last few years there, And eventually I was getting called and stuff. As soon as I put myself out there, it started building back up again. So I was playing in a mariachi band, I was playing in an orchestra, I was playing in the punk rock orchestra.
I just love that one of these things is not like the others, one of these guys is white.
It was so funny. They called me Weto. And I didn't grow up with that music, so I always felt insecure on every gig. And they don't have written music. Everything's memorized and and all the other guys knew all the mariachi music since they were little.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, they're not going to like me. But they kept hiring me. I played it every week. I played at least 1 or 2 gigs with them for like 2 years until I joined Stompy Jones and I couldn't do it anymore. I joined the Marcus Shelby Jazz Orchestra. Which kind of bums me out. There's no record of me being in that group. I was never on their recordings. They never put me on the website. I subbed and then I played every gig for a year. But anyway, I was in that group.
Okay. We're not going to fact check this.
Yeah, no, but it always bugged me. But so the point is, I did a lot of stuff. I did jazz. I had my own trio. I did the avant-garde stuff. I had my circadians. And anyway, I just had to keep doing music. That's the point, and that's where I'm still at now. But so the timeline is New England, came back, taught at Pittsburgh High, started gigging more. I got so busy though that something had to give, and I was like, please God, do not let it be my musical stuff. It can't, and it can't be my family.
Yeah.
But I need time for my family.
Yeah.
And then I found Stompy Jones, who was gigging enough for me to just do that full time. And that was about 8 or 9 years ago. And then I immediately began part-time teaching at the community college just as a backup. And now I'm doing the bands over there, but I'm still a part-time teacher.
Stompy Jones, that's every time I've mentioned that, I mean, you were friends, I end up running into 4 or 5 people who are like, oh, they're great, they play here, and also you guys have a really great reputation in Northern California. It's
the swing dancers, they love us. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Monroe, friend of the show.
Yeah, Kevin Monroe.
Friend of mine in general.
Haven't seen him in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I'm gonna have him on here because we're gonna have one of these conversations about stand up in San Francisco. But he's really entertaining, and it's because he used to go there all the time and swing dance when you guys were playing, and
for a while he was coming every week.
Yeah, where was that? It's Tuesday nights. Where's that at?
Yeah, that's at the Verdi Club. VERDI. We still do that. We don't do the Top of the Mark anymore because they got bought out last February, so almost a year ago, by the Fairmont. So we're not. They replaced all their entertainment. So boo. So call the Top of the Mark and request Stompy Jones if you're listening to this. Thursday nights, get us back. Yeah.
And you guys also have the recurring gig at Disney, right? Or is that?
Yeah, we're still doing Disney once a month. And actually, they love us there. It's fun to play there.
Yeah.
I would say that Southern California, I guess because we're a commodity, because we don't live down there, has been really good to us. We just played in November, right? Yeah, we just played there last month. We played at a place called the Atomic Ballroom, and it's mostly college age, but all ages, in Irvine. And it's this industrial park. And every time we play there, it's just packed. Just packed, and they love us. We play Disneyland, they all come out, they love us, so it's kind of what is it, a prophet is never well received in his own home or something like that. We go out to LA and they're like, yeah, and then you go play a gig in Alameda and there's 4 people.
Exactly. I same thing. It's on the road. It's I'm doing the Knitting Factory in Reno next month.
Oh, cool.
On December 12th, please come out. It's a huge venue. And it's this huge concert hall, and I'm like, wow, I would never get booked for a venue this big in San Francisco ever in a million years.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I don't headline enough clubs in Northern California, but I'm on the road headlining, every other week for a couple nights. Where people are coming out to see me specifically.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So it's I know how you feel. It's really annoying.
Yeah, and then it's a good natural high feeling when you are on the road. And, I mean, sometimes you go and it's not as good, but when you have a great weekend or, then you're like, yes, I'm somebody. And then you come home and you're feeling good. You're like, yeah, I just got back from LA. Yeah.
Okay. The kids need you to go help them with something.
Dad! what? And you're like, okay, I gotta love my kids. I'm somebody.
Oh,
and you go out to your gig and it's like, wait, where is everybody? Oh, no. No, we have a good crowd usually at the Verity Club every week, so that's nice. But
yeah, and you guys are like an institution over there.
yeah, now we haven't been working quite as much lately. Well, November, for some reason, is always dead for us. But when we're working a lot, like every week, multiple times, that can sometimes hurt to a local band because they always know they can see you Tuesday, so why should they come out Friday?
Yeah.
Or where, or a lot of places like Bimbo's has offered us to play, but they want an exclusive, so that's how they work. They say, you play here, but for the rest of the month, no shows within 30 miles or whatever.
Yeah, it's the same thing with comedy clubs. It's like, if you work the Punchline at Cobb's, there are a couple clubs in the area that you, just out of goodwill, you don't work at, because it's the same market,
Right. So we have missed out, I think, on some opportunities to do the bigger local shows, which I think people would come out for that are our fans because they'd be excited to see us at a nice. Because we go, well, then we have to give up, 6 gigs or whatever for the one gig, which isn't a guarantee or whatever. It's the door. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for. Anyway, enough of this insider talk.
Well, So the punk rock orchestra happened before Stompy Jones. Like, could you kind of describe that?
The punk rock orchestra was during my period of I'm going to do whatever in the world comes my way because I need to start performing again. Because that's when I was still teaching.
There's something really liberating about that mentality, though. Like, I went through something similar for a couple of years and just like, I'm going to get on stage whenever I can because I need to get on stage.
Exactly. It kind of got to where, okay, I poured my whole life into playing the trumpet and also to writing music. And I did all this. I went to one of the world's best music schools. I moved. I got a master's degree. I played on some of the most famous places in the world. And now I'm barely doing this. No, I need to get back. So I'm going to just, how do I start? Well, I know because I've done it before. You just start doing anything you can. And I knew kind of deep down eventually would lead to something, which it did with Stompy Jones. But so the punk rock orchestra was one of those things. It was like go on Craigslist and it's like, well, not much pay or no, but looking for one of those things. And I go down there and audition, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, baby, this guy's good." I was like, the other people are like,
"That's not a stereotypical musician voice at all, or anything."
I haven't touched my clarinet in 3 years, but I'll do. And I go in there fresh out of music school or whatever, and it's like, wow. So I get in, and this group was a blast. It was run by a guy. I don't really want to mention his name because he's been involved in legal stuff. But anyway, he's a cool guy to me. I never had any problems with him. But he started it, and he was involved in the punk movement a lot back in the day. So he knew a lot of people, and he got a lot of stuff happening. He got us to record at Skywalking Ranch. We were on NPR. We had a tour ready to do. And we recorded. I was asked to arrange an Iggy Pop song, which I did, which we recorded with a full orchestra. And I got to snoop around Skywalker and all this stuff. And then people in the orchestra were getting persnippety because, they didn't agree with what was happening, thought they were getting screwed. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I was pretty much ready to go along for the ride because I just figured, well, what else it's either this or nothing, So, but they kind of wouldn't sign the contract or whatever to do the record. So it basically just fell apart, and that was the end of it.
That's that's one of the things I loved about stand-up as opposed to doing theater is one of the things that always limited me as an actor is that I have a hard time trusting other people to do their job.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about stand-up is that, like, it's all on me. It's my responsibility. I'm creating, I'm performing. It's on me to organize what I'm doing, to make sure I have my shit together. And that's what I always enjoyed about the solo performance aspect of it. And that's for that exact reason. It's like when you trust other people, especially other artists.
Yeah.
Trusting other artists is the biggest gamble you'll ever take in your life.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've enjoyed about doing this Songs for My Friend project. Because it was just all me. Not that I'm all about me. I would love to have had, some of my friends come in that are like great musicians and play the tracks. But that takes time. You got to work around other people's schedule, money if you have to pay people, and again relying on someone else. So even though I'm not the world's best engineer, I had control of it, so I knew what was going to happen. So when you hear the sound of the album, that's me, for better or for worse. I'm singing. I play all the instruments. My friend Chris Lujan plays bass on 2 tracks, and my friend Brandon plays didgeridoo on 1. Everything else is me, and I wrote them all, and everything. The thing I forget, because it sounds pretty good, and I'm judging it like I would any other song as I'm listening to the playback. The thing I forget is I wrote and recorded each one of these in 1 week. So then I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So it really is kind of me, I'm like, this is what comes out of my subconscious. This is strange, but this is me. And it's not jazz, it's just these weird little doodles of music.
Yeah, I think that's what always appealed to me about your music is that there's this underlying tone of, well, this is just for our entertainment.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, at the very least. Like, I think, what is it? One of my favorite tunes that you've written, Yeti's Groove.
I know. I'm so bummed that the master tapes of that I don't think exist because it's one of the best things ever, but it's just, the quality is just not really quite there. The musicianship is, but just the audio... But it's great, but I wish my friend Chris had the master tapes, but he doesn't have them, I guess. Anyway, yeah, Yeti's Groove, that was great. I'll have to maybe dig it up and put it up on my website just so people can hear it for free or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I always had this weird predilection towards quirky music, I guess. Like, I grew up worshiping Weird Al and things like that, and the Dr. Demento show. And
right.
So, those were my first experiences really getting into unique music is that I would listen to all this really random stuff, and then I meet you and you start showing me all these things like guys like Richard Cheese and and it's stuff like that, and then even your band, the Circadians, which I loved. I still listen to those tunes all the time because they always end up in travel playlists and stuff.
Yeah. The Circadians had a little more of a seriousness to it because Gordon was a very classical guy. So yeah. But still, we had this, let's do whatever we want mentality. Yeah. We're going to go off and change keys 4 times here or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's when I was coming up with the stuff for the podcast, if you guys have heard Rob's name over and over again for the last, 10 episodes or whatever, it's because Rob wrote the music for the show. We plug him on every episode. And, I was going to find just some, royalty-free something to, tag on. I'm like, oh, no, I gotta... If I'm ever going to call in this favor, this is the time to do it. Yeah. And because I know you would have written something unique and quirky and it was great. And I love the jingle. Is it narcissistic to have the jingle for your podcast as your ringtone when you walk around?
That's great. Yeah.
Because it is. I did that. That was one of the first things I did. Is just convert it into a ringtone on my iPhone.
Well, that's what I'm coming to realize now. I used to try so hard to sound like this or that, but now I'm realizing I'm. Just like on the trumpet, from playing so many gigs over the last 10 years, I have my own sound now. And, I mean, I'm getting older now, but I think it takes longer for artists to get their own sound in jazz now because of you have to learn so much from the past. But even as a songwriter now, because I did that project and I've been recording, I think I have my own little sound now. And it's just me, and for better or for worse. And so what I gave you, that's just me, you know? It's kind of jazzy, it's kind of fun, it's kind of... whatever, and I've become a weird, strange specialist at doing personalized music for people, and I'm the official composer now for Skywalking Through Neverland, which is a podcast on the shop.
Yeah, they're friends of our show too. I've gotten to know them because of you actually a little bit.
They're nice people, Sarah and Richard Woloski, but I do music for them fairly often. I'll add a new spot for them, and it's really building up their podcast. And anyway, people have been calling me now, and I've been having to pretty soon it's going to have to either turn into a career or just I can't do too much but it's good because of all these different podcasts. So they are calling me the John Williams of podcasting. Hashtag John Williams of podcasting.
That is...
So I've done them for great. Disney Vault, which is part of Geek Out Loud, and I've done them for just a lot of different podcasts.
Yeah, you're kind of this you're this musical podfather.
Because there's not that much original music on podcasts. Well,
it's not even that, but it's because you've done all kinds of stuff. You did
Podfather.
Yeah, I like that.
Part 2.
We don't talk about part 3. It's that was actually a pilot for a web series I was in. Sal Kalani and Grant Lyon, who's actually going to be on who we just recorded an interview with. Great comic friends of mine from San Francisco, and they shot this whole web series about like the podcasting industry in San Francisco, and it was a Godfather parody. It was really funny, and it never got picked up by anybody, unfortunately, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And but you've done like what was it for the Boba Fett?
Rebel Force Radio. Yeah. Boba Beer.
Boba Beer, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it's like you're kind of this. You're kind of from what I've noticed, you're the go-to guy for specific nerdy music. Like
that's what it's coming down to, and I'm very proud of that fact.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's
it's
nothing
so awesome.
with that.
I just got contacted by Teresa Delgado she does Fangirls Going Rogue or whatever. Fangirls Going Rogue on for Rebel Force Radio Network. Yeah. And her and Trisha Barr, they're becoming two of the most well-known fangirls out there. And I'm doing music for her new show now.
Okay.
And it's going to cover My Little Pony and and Batman and Star. So I'm about as we speak. After you're gone today, I'm probably going to work on it, and it's going to be like this geeky masterwork of 30 seconds, which is going to incorporate like. You know, My Little Pony. You know, it'll just be like this mix of geekdom.
No, all right, so like I'm assuming because I don't know unless you're like a closeted brony or something like that. Is it like
a brony?
Yeah, that's I didn't make that up. Yeah, I did not make up that term at all.
No, I'm not a brony, but she is a pony fan, a female pony fan.
I actually met Tara Strong, she was one of the voices on My Little Pony, but she was also like she's this crazy, super talented voice actress. But she was also Harlequin on Batman, the animated series in the '90s. And
was that the one Mark Hamill was on?
With Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, which is the Batman voice in my head. When I think of Batman, like that's the voice I hear is Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that she just has this crazy resume of like tons of stuff, and like she talks about how crazy, like not in a bad way, but like how crazy intense the like male My Little Pony fans are. Like it's so great. Like it's so funny to listen to her talk about it, and It's like I did not make up that term at all. Bronies is the term for male My Little Pony fans.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, I wish I could say I coined that, but I didn't. Like it's like because I know two.
Just the whole concept blows my mind.
I know two comedians. I'm not going to out them on here.
Yeah.
That are bronies, and I don't think they know about each other either. I think they're just both like closeted. Like I just imagine like they just have this closet they open up full of My Little Pony stuff, and when somebody comes over, they just close it.
Well, thank God there are some geeks out there that make us feel really manly.
Exactly, right? What's funny is
not that into sports, I'm more into Star Wars, but hey, I don't like My Little Pony.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that like that's what I hate about trendy nerds now. It's like all these people like really, I did my time in the trenches. Like I got
right.
Like I was.
I know. I'm still like ashamed, and people are. There's no reason to be.
Yeah.
It's like, like, I like Star Wars. It's like, okay, and so does everybody now. Yeah.
And here's the thing is everybody did then, but like everybody now it's so mainstream.
It's so mainstream, and I'm not to bum anyone out who has done this, and you're one of the people, so but so many people share Star Wars related stuff like on Facebook, which coming from you it means a little more, but a lot of the people, I'm like, you probably don't even know who, like, Greedo is.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just jumping on the bandwagon of all this Star Wars stuff. And that's fine. Bring it on, baby. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it's become so common that everybody is getting in on it, Yeah. And I'm actually glad because that just ensures that it will go on forever. But I kind of stay away from that. Like, I'm more into, like, the deep, like, okay, the trailer, now that, baby, show me some stuff on the new trailer, but I don't need to read the new joke about Yoda's butt or something.
Yeah, it's like, people think, people do that to me too. It's like,
they assume you're...
Yeah, because as you follow me on Twitter, so I wear my nerdiness on my sleeve very openly, and people think that means that And I care about any little thing, and okay, that's great, or I love when people think they're giving me inside information about something, and I'm just like, I knew about this a week and a half ago, or
yeah, exactly.
When you have to write about something for the fangirl thing, because they, I don't know if you're into Harry Potter at all, or you're clearly not the My Little Pony thing.
Yeah.
But so do you do research on the?
Well, luckily, as you probably would agree, when you're in geekdom, you are pretty familiar, at least a little bit.
In the periphery, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, I know the My Little Pony theme. I just sang it, That's from the 80s, though. I don't know if there's a new My Little Pony.
I don't know either, actually.
But I do know that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because I grew up with Saturday morning cartoons. I know Harry Potter. I've watched all the movies. I'm not a big fan, but I have nothing against it, you know. And I love that theme that John Williams wrote. He didn't do all of the scores for all of the movies, but he did the first one, and he made the da-da-da-da.
Yeah, he made the overarching theme for all of them.
So, I mean, I'm pretty well versed in geekdom, and by the time this stuff that's been out for the last few years, they grow up, I won't know any... Well, I might, because my kids,
Fair enough.
I know Johnny Test and all that stuff, but... so it's cool, and I have now become on the periphery of the superstar geek people because, some of these people on these podcasts are involved with pretty big things now.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming the go-to guy for the music. So it's just working out nicely. I'm enjoying doing it, but I'm also envisioning a time where maybe this will turn into something a little bit bigger, Yeah. For example, a guy like David Collins, who was forgive me if I get his credentials wrong, but he worked for Lucasfilm in sound design, and he worked on video games, and I think he's with Sony now. But when he was with Lucasfilm, he had access to all of their music. So anyway, and he's a musician, and he got into doing this podcast with Rebel Force Radio called Star Wars Oxygen, which is one of the best podcasts, period. I mean, I think it's one of the best things you can spend your time listening to if you like music or Star Wars. And they dissect it. Anyway, David Collins has become somewhat of a celebrity in the geekdom world, and now he's one of the hosts of only 4 main stages at the Star Wars Celebration in April in Anaheim. Yeah. He's one of the hosts. One of the other stages is Jimmy and Jason from Rebel Force Radio. Yeah. And, they all know me, virtually. Yeah. David, though, apparently knows my band Stompy Jones. When they mentioned... they interviewed him on Skywalking Through Neverland. He goes, "Oh, I know that band, so now he knows me, we're friends." So it's becoming cool in a way, this whole online community of stuff becomes part of the real world. Yeah. And it also leads to bigger and better things, because I think the quality people that are really into this stuff will eventually flock more and more to each other.
Well, I mean, look look at all these, there's a lot of mainstream entertainment that is being born in this podcast community, like Marin on IFC. That was all based on Mark Maron's podcast WTF, and it was insanely popular. It still is. He's on 600 episodes now.
Yeah, some people are celebrities already when they do their podcast.
Mark Maron was not.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, his podcast. The one, it wasn't even one that he was on regularly. It was just one of the ones he produced. Turned into the TV show Comic Pen.
Yeah. What's interesting is he has this channel on YouTube, which that guy David Collins I just mentioned. Yeah. He just started a YouTube show called The Comlink, a Star Wars show, and it's on Kevin Smith's channel.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
So all these connections are happening. So there's the famous people, then there's the middlemen, and then there's the peripheral, which I'm on. You know? And so I view it as an exciting time for podcasters, and you're in that too. We're in this wild west, It's really fun.
This is one of the last unregulated creative things you can do on the internet still. Even then, we were talking about hosting fees and stuff like that before we were recording, but even with that, that's no different than any kind of minor investment it takes to create your art. It's not a big deal.
And it's very minor at this point. Yeah. It'll probably get more and more difficult. So we are in at the right time.
Yes.
You wonder, how did these guys start CBS? Well, back then there was no TV, and so it's possible that the people that are getting involved now will be able to have a foothold in this. Oh, it's also more possible that all the big companies will just control everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but honestly, if nothing, you've been nothing short of inspiration to me as far as the fact that you're willing to just so actively create. And that's one of the things I've always respected about you. And it's something that I took from you as when I was your student, and now as your friend, is that like, I always know that whatever you do is always going to be very personal, and it's going to have a very solid level of quality to it just because you produce good work. And that's one of the things I enjoy about everything you've done.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect compliment because that's what I would want, is to be quality and personal. Because there's no point in just trying to... I mean, I do emulate things, but there's no point in just putting something out trying to sound like, unless you're on a major label and you have the horsepower to quickly copy that, hit by Justin Bieber with your own guy and put it out real quick, then by all means make a quick buck. I'm not in that position, so I might as well do my own stuff, Yeah,
it's like not having anybody to answer to is really liberating creatively.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad we were able to sit down. It was nice to catch up, and it was...
Yeah, thanks for coming out to my state-of-the-art studio. We press a button here, and then it changes the whole acoustics. We have acoustic panels that are automated. We have, this microphone right here is worth $1 million. No.
That's what the Axl Rose wall mount is for. It's actually, it actually absorbs sound. It's made of cushion. It's... That's how we're going to justify everything in here.
Yeah, the vintage Star Tours poster. That is actually, if it moves 1 inch to the left, all of a sudden you're in a cathedral from the 1600s.
I want to this is what I want to do eventually. Like if I ever, am some kind of huge success in the entertainment industry, is I want to. This is literally in my office. There will be a bust of Shakespeare, and I will open that bust up and push a red button, and then the wall into my recording room for the podcast will open up. That is my dream. One day I'm going to make that happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was great. Thanks for sitting down, man. And so one more time, the new album is...
it's called Songs for My Friends, Volume 1, and you can look it up. It's not out as of this recording, but when is this going to air? Probably...
2 weeks.
Okay, so around the time that this airs, it should be almost out. It'll be either out or within a few days. In mid to late December, it's going to be on iTunes, Amazon. Songs for My Friends, Volume 1, and you can also look it up by my last name, Dehlinger, Dehlinger, Rob Dehlinger. You can look on my website, robdehlinger.com.
Yeah, we'll put all that in the show notes like we always do.
There you go, and so there'll be a link there too. But
cool, sweet. All right, yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So that was Rob Dehlinger, guys. The man behind the music. The nerd behind the jingle that you guys hear every week on the NQF podcast. It was a lot of fun. I love talking to Rob. I love being able to go on nerdy tangents with Rob. That was one of my favorite things. It's probably what endeared us as friends, is that we both have these very passionate, nerdy feelings about things we love. If you thought that was bad, you should have heard how nerdy the conversations were before I turned the recorder on. We were talking for a while. But yeah, it was great. Please check him out. RobDehlinger.com, at Rob Dehlinger on the Twitters. And please, please, please check out Songs for My Friends, Volume 1. That'll be available very soon. It might be coming out right before this does. If not, it'll be out probably later this week. It'll be out before Christmas, I know that for sure. Please check it out. iTunes, Amazon, all that stuff. It's an amazing, amazing album. Very personal album. It's an album he made for himself and his friends. And I think the simple fact that he did that many recordings 1 week at a time just shows the amount of work that Rob is willing to put into what he does, because everything sounds amazing. I'm going to play a sample for that for you guys. This is a track from Songs for My Friends Volume 1. Enjoy it.
Archery, 66, Coupe de Ville, Elvis, Germany, Human Resources Manager, Kit Kat Clock, these words describe Erica Hadenhauer. Erica, 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 Erica. Marjorie, Tater Tots, Elvis, Coupe de Ville, Erica, Tater Tots, Erica, 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 Hattenhauer, 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 Erica, Hattenhauer. Crazy how such simple words can describe such a complex person. Don't lie, you know that this here song just blew your mind. Erica, 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 Hattenhauer, 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 Erica, 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 Erica.
How was that, huh? It was amazing, right? Songs for My Friends Volume 1. Check it out. That was just one track, and the rest of the album is pretty amazing too. It's just like I described Rob's music. Quirky, fun, original. It's great. I love it. All of you guys can please check me out. Like I said, December 12th, the Pioneer Underground Comedy Club, Reno, Nevada. December 12th. That is this coming Friday, 8:30 p.m. Be there. Come out. See me on stage. Stay in Reno for the weekend. Get drunk at the Santa Crawl. It'll be great. I'll be there. I'll join you guys. It'll be fun. Now, also check us out online. Facebook.com/NQFpod. That is for the NQF Podcast. Or you can find me, Greg Asdorian. Facebook.com/Greg Asdorian. On Twitter, @NQFpod or @Greg Asdorian. Check both of us out. Follow us, like us, show us some love. Let us know what you love about the podcast. Let us know what you want to hear on the podcast. Also, go on iTunes. Give us a review. Give us 5 little stars. And then write a little review. And do me a favor. Just share the podcast with your friends. Tell them about it. Tell them it's fun. I think it'll be amazing. I think it'll be great. I think that I'm looking forward to these shows this weekend in Reno. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see any of you guys there. Any of the podcast listeners, please come up to me after the show. Let me know you listened to the podcast. Let me know you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys there. Have a great week. Not Quite Famous.